In the latest Pokemon Presents, it was announced that the 9th generation of Pokemon will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was dropped as the names for the new generation, and this no doubt had the Pokemon community excited, as we didn't expect another installment from Game Freak this quickly. Especially so soon after the release of Legends Arceus, the new game will be out later this year in 2022 and touted for a November release. So, I thought I'd do a short video compiling all that we know from the trailer and from the articles and news released about the game. Before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment as well to let me know what you guys think. In the trailer, we're greeted with a cinematic sequence including a man venturing into Game Freak Studios, which already was a huge hint as to a new Pokemon generation. This sequence doesn't tell us much about the actual game. It may have only been there to serve as a red herring for those who heard rumours of Detective Pikachu 2. When the man enters the office, everything goes haywire and a bright light shines upon him to show us the first scene of the game. And this scene already tells us so much about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. For starters, we can see a massive castle town in the distance, which gives similar feelings and looks to Hammerlock, Motorstoke and Winden from Pokemon Sword and Shield. We can also see a Pokemon Center at the center of the city, and in the distance to the right, we see what could be a Pokemon gym, which would be very different to the types of stadiums that we saw in Sword and Shield. To the right of the scene, we see another Pokemon Center hiding behind the hill, meaning this could be a nearby town. We also notice similar architecture with the cylindrical spires coming from that town as well. Now we know Pokemon in recent years likes to take inspiration for their regions from real life places. For example, Alola is based off of Hawaii, Kalos is based off the northern half of metropolitan France, Galar is based off of the UK, and Unova is based off of New York City. Now I'm not an architect or profess to know a lot about it, but from my limited knowledge, these style of buildings look very European and reminds me a bit of Gothic architecture. This was very prevalent in France, and while I don't think we'll have another France-based region, geographically I don't think we're far away. There is evidence to suggest that this region will be based off of Spain and Portugal, which I'll get onto later. And if you think otherwise, then let me know in the comments. In the next scene, we see some islands surrounded by an abundance of water, overlooking the sunset, and another scene of some mountains in the dark to help set the scene of the game. Also in the last couple of frames, we can see another one of these buildings, but with a giant Pokeball in the middle, which could also be the Pokemon gym for the city. We get a much closer look inside the city in the next scene, as the fog fades away and we can see another Pokemon Center hiding behind some of the buildings. We then cut to a field with some windmills on the right and a bunch of Starly flocking around. We also see what looks like a Pokemon Center outpost, which if Pokemon games are going in the direction that Pokemon Legends Arceus took us, then this makes sense as a welcome addition to the game. This makes more sense as on the official Scarlet and Violet website, it calls the games an open world game that players of any age can enjoy. We get a closer look at the windmills and the Hoppip flying around before we cut to some more scenes of Pokemon in the wild area. And considering the way these are spawned and aren't in tall grass, like in Sword and Shield, more or less confirms that we're getting another Legends Arceus style game. Over the next couple of scenes, we see a number of confirmed Pokemon for the game. We have Meowth, Clauncher and Pelipper, Pelletil and Bounsweet, Psyduck, Drifloon and Combi, Stonjourner, Lucario, Blissey, Larvitar and Magnemite, including the starter Pokemon, which we'll get onto later. The scene is interesting as we get to see into the center of the city. Past the Swablu, we see a ring which contains all the different types of Pokemon like Fire, Water, Grass, Dragon, Steel, Fairy, and so on. We see this further in the next scene behind the Pikachu. If we go forward a couple scenes, we notice the same colourful Pokeball from earlier, but the shape makes it look like a Pokemon battle arena in the center of the city. What kind of battles we can have here is unclear, but there's no doubt that they included this for that purpose. We then see an image of a house/mansion that has a stone statue of a Dratini in the front, which seems like a prominent location to possibly the master of this region or a prominent figure in the story. As we progress more into the trailer, we notice the types of houses and scenery resembles a lot of Spain and Portugal, as I mentioned earlier. The city centre is made in a way that looks a lot like Barcelona, especially with the city centre looking like the entrance part to the Sagrada Familia, and the villa in this scene is similar to villas in Portugal and Spain, which makes sense as the scenery is surrounded by a lot of water, and we see the types of trees you would recognise in Lisbon and other parts of Portugal. This is further evidence when we look inside the house. Not only is the interior a dead giveaway, in this scene where the main character passes the TV and the Switch OLED, we notice a map of the region which, if you compare it to Spain/Portugal, seems eerily similar. This region based off of Spain/Portugal is also reflected in the starters' names. Sprigatito, the grass cat Pokemon, is a mix with the word gratito, which is little cat in Spanish, and potentially Spriga, which is spring in Spanish. Fuecoco, the fire croc Pokemon, is a mix of fuego, which is fire in Spanish, and cocodrilo, which is crocodile in Spanish. There is no clear correlation with the water-docked Pokemon Quaxly, but this will probably be reflected in later evolutions when they are released. While we're on the subject of the starters, we can see that Fuecoco is clearly the heaviest of the three, which will probably be the starter with the highest defense. And we notice they each have abilities Blaze, Overgrowth, and Torrent, which we know that when HP is below a third of its maximum, the power of Fire, Grass, and Water moves respectively is increased by 50%, the same as previous Pokemon starters. The official website also has information on the main characters, which have obviously distinct clothing based on which game you play, with the main difference being in the colour of the tie and in the shorts and skirt. Aside from that, there isn't much more that we know about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Obviously this game is not touted to be released till November, and over the course of that time we'll hear more news about legendaries, the story, and what kind of Pokemon that we can catch. And when that news drops, I'll be here to update you with another video breaking down what we know. But until then, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Also don't forget to leave a comment to let me know what you guys think of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.